Hey guys, Oscar Combs here with Parenting on Mission, and we got Suni back.
I know you guys missed me.
Hey guys, in today's episode, we're going to talk about how Suni and I grew up and how that impacted our parenting. You guys understand like how we grow up and how our parents parent us. Of course, it impacts how we will become parents and how we parent our children. So today, Suni and I are just going to share some insights into our backgrounds. But before we get started, Suni, do you have some news to share?
I do. Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to see everyone back. And so we have upcoming August the 29th and August the 30th, our first Parenting on Mission Masterclass.
Hey!
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
And it is an opportunity to help parents to grow, connect, and feel more confident in all of our parenting skills. How many times have we said there's no handbook on parenting?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this will be a handbook that you can use as a tool in your on your parenting journey. Now, this is going to be again on August the 29th from 6:30 to 9:30, and then it will continue on August the 30th from 8:30 to 5 p.m. Now, how can you register? Because you can register today at parentingonmission.com. Again, that's parentingonmission.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Suni.
You're welcome.
So, Suni, what were some of your experiences growing up and how did it shape you to become the parent that you are today?
I think quite a bit about the parenting skills because a lot of times, like I said earlier, we learn to parent from our parents. So for me, I grew up in a blended household.
What does that mean?
That means that I did not grow up with my biological father. My dad had his own personal struggles in his life, and my mom divorced my dad when I was an infant, and so my mom remarried to our dad, Mr. Leon, as we call him, Papa Leon, as the kids call him, married him when I was 5 years old. And so I grew up in a blended home, but my mom did not grow up in a blended home. She grew up with my grandmother and my grandfather. So for my parents, Leon and my mama, to navigate a blended family, they didn't have the tools. So that was one of the things that I understand, and as I've gotten older, I've learned, I think one thing I would say definitely is I owe Leon an apology. Mm-hmm. Leon, if you're listening, if you're watching, I apologize for not always being so sunny. Mm-hmm. That oftentimes I could have been stormy. But it was because I did not know. I didn't have the tools to express how I felt about not having my biological father in my life, right?
Okay.
And my mom and Leon didn't have the tools to blend us together because Leon came into the marriage with 2 children, and my mom had 2 girls as well. So it was 4 girls that they were raising.
Got it.
And we were blended. I would say the next thing I learned from my parents is about hard working. They were hard workers. My mama was an educator. She went to school to be a teacher, but she could not take care of 2 girls on her own. And so she went to the oil refinery and she worked shift work. So a lot of times my mama parented us on the phone. Mm-hmm. There were phone calls. This is how
FaceTime?
No, wasn't no FaceTime, and it wasn't a cell phone. It was a rotary phone. Okay, so my mama parented us for the phone, and if we were outside playing, if that phone rang, you better beat that phone before it stopped ringing. So it was a lot of discipline, a lot of teaching, and concern and communication was done via phone. Okay. But I can say this. My mama, if she worked from 3 to 11, before she left that house, she made sure she had our dinner ready. If she worked from 7 to 3, before she left to go into work, she would have breakfast ready until we learned to cook for ourselves.
Okay.
Another thing that we had was a big village. Because she worked that type of work, we had a village in our neighborhood, and those people helped to look out for us. Little Sonny getting in the yard. Little Sonny, where you supposed to be? What Miss Esther told you to be. We had people there who watched out for us and truly loved and cared for us. We also had my grandparents, my aunts and uncles. We had our church family because we grew up in the church. Every vacation Bible school, guess who was there? Tiffany and Suni. All through the neighborhood, we were at those vacation Bible schools.
Makes a difference.
It does. And as I got older, when I was around 10, the oil refinery went into on strike.
Okay.
And so my mama and Leon opened a child care center. Leon worked for Texas Instruments. He still worked full time. And my mama ran the daycare centers, and then they ended up having 3. But what that taught me, there were some advantages and disadvantages. Family business, of course, was first. Mm-hmm. But what I learned from that, and I think later when you and I had the opportunity to possibly buy and take over the business, mm-hmm. one of the things that I did not want to, and I learned from my parents, was the sacrifice it took to run a child care center. Mm-hmm. But the seeds that they planted in the lives of all the families and children that they worked with was outstanding. But I knew that it wasn't, for me, for us, it wasn't our ministry for our children.
Okay.
And so those are the things I learned from my family, that it was hard. It was family business. We worked hard. They took care of us. We took care of family. But more than anything, it was that we came first, and they prioritized us even through going to school and all those things. They prioritized us. All right, so Oscar, what was your experience growing up? How did it shape you and to be the parent that you are today?
Well, I would say primarily, we grew up with my father, Oscar Combs Sr., so I'm Oscar Combs Jr., and my mother, Jean Combs. Now, Jean Combs is not my biological mother, mm-hmm. but she's my mother. Right. She's the one that raised me, and, my biological mother wasn't in my life. But I was fortunate and thankful to have Jean Combs in my life to be my mother. So shout out to Jean.
Hey, Ma.
So I also have 5 sisters, and I have 3 brothers, and I'm the oldest male in my family. So my household was a very loving household. God-fearing household, I would say, because we always was going to church and mm-hmm. things of this nature. But one thing I do recall is that we had a very heavy hand in the house, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Like, you guys know, I don't even have to tell you, but let's just put it this way. Some of the things would be considered child abuse nowadays, right? It's just what it was back then. Mm-hmm. I know these things still go on today, but that's like really one of the reasons why we started Parenting on Mission, is because there's better ways to parent now that we all know that.
Right.
While all the other kids were, I would say, playing and having fun, which I had some, but I was primarily working in the family business. So similar to you, mm-hmm. working in your family's daycare and everything, I was working in our family paint and body shop. And hopefully you guys know what that is. But if you have a wreck, we were the ones you'd bring your car to, and we would take that dent out and make it look like new. And I got really good at that. Mm-hmm. But, that definitely taught me, I would say, discipline, work ethic. But, in 1992, my father passed. And he passed, he was 58, and I was 19 years old at that time. So very young when I lost my father. Mm-hmm. So when I became a parent, I found myself kind of repeating some of those firm-handed approaches, right? Like everything requires some type of a consequence, and I didn't understand really how to, I guess, communicate. And there was a lot of, I was waiting and holding things until I got angry, and then go and try to talk to the child. And that's, of course, we know that don't turn out too good. So those are some of the things that I felt like kind of formed me as a parent in the beginning, I would say. So hey, take a moment, hit the notification button so that you can be notified on our next video. So are you gonna tell them what it is?
Our next video.
No, you're not supposed to tell them.
Oh.
It's a cliffhanger.
You didn't tell me I wasn't supposed to tell them.
So she's not going to be able to tell you guys on the next video. You're going to hit the notification so you can know about the next video. So remember, guys, parenting is a lot easier when it's done on mission. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye now.
Bye.